Europeana is very close to my heart because I was one of the persons who launched the initiative. Well, it's almost 15 years ago, and we've come a long way since then. From 0 objects in 2008 to 20 million objects in 2011, and now 52 million, with a lot of emphasis on quality. Then in 2011, the first Europeana data model was published, but it was enriched over the last decade and was strengthened. And now we have a real standard today that's coupled with the Europeana licensing framework. And then the Europeana community, in a decade, it has grown from less than 100 to 4,000 data providing institutions, and also a vibrant network of 3,000 digital and cultural heritage professionals. And of course, there is the growing aggregation ecosystem with 40 accredited national domain and thematic aggregators. Now, today is an important day, as Commissioner Breton said, because the Commission adopted its new digital policy framework for the sector, the recommendation on a common European data space for cultural heritage. Allow me to zoom out for a moment on digital policies in general. So in March this year, the Commission published its digital decade vision for Europe's digital transformation up to 2030. And it has a number of targets for the number of IT specialists, for connectivity, for secure and sustainable infrastructures, and also for the take-up of data technologies and the take-up of artificial intelligence. Now, the overall objective is to be masters of our future, to be digitally sovereign in an interconnected world. And this means, on the one hand, building on our strengths, and on the other hand, addressing some of the strategic weaknesses we have. Now, of course, we want to realize the vision of the digital decade in full respect of Europe's values. So the Commission is soon going to present a declaration of digital principles and rights, and the idea is to promote and uphold European values in the digital space. And I know that many of you contributed to the consultation that took place and that closed in September on this topic. So what does this all mean for the cultural sector? Now, I think that in the coming decades, the combination of 3 elements is really going to change the digital landscape drastically. First of all, there will be high-speed connectivity and performance everywhere. There will be an abundance of data, and then there will also be better tools and the capacity to handle the data. And this is going to bring all kinds of new services, also in the realm of cultural heritage, based on 3D, AI, or extended reality, like virtually visiting museums and sites, not only current sites, but also from the past, strolling around Rome or Pompeii for that matter, as if you were there at the moment. And I truly believe in the power of this type of immersive experience for young people to engage with cultural heritage and also to foster a deeper sense of our history. I would call it the zero distance experience of culture, from anywhere, your smartphone, your smart TV, your smartwatch, you name the device, back into any time in history, prehistory, the Renaissance, World War II. It also means new ways for citizens, and especially young people, to truly become co-creators of culture and not only mere consumers of culture. And this is important because Europeana is also about democratic access to cultural heritage online. Now, at the heart of all these ambitions, there's actually data. Let me touch for a moment on the data strategy, for which my directorate is responsible. It aims at making the EU a leader in a data-driven society. It's about creating a single market for data to flow freely within the EU and across sectors. It's also about a place where there's a lot of data available. It's also about a place where there's a high level of protection of personal data and where European values are fully respected. Now, of course, the pandemic has highlighted the critical role of data and more in general of digital technologies. Harry mentioned it already. The digital technologies and infrastructures really have made a difference over the last year and a half. They have demonstrated how our societies and economies can really benefit from digital. Now, One of the key measures in the data strategy, the Commissioner mentioned it, is the development of these common European data spaces in strategic sectors and domains, ranging from manufacturing to the mobility sector and health. Now, these data spaces, they combine governance elements. Governance, what do I mean with that? Who decides who can use what data for what purposes? That's the governance aspect. And together with that, data infrastructures. Now, in the cultural sector, you have actually been forerunners in making data more widely available. We now have a very healthy ecosystem in place that we want to further nurture and to put in place a real data space for cultural heritage. Now, that brings me to the recommendation that was adopted today. It's actually the second revision of this recommendation. It comes 10 years after the last revision, and I'm very happy to see that the work in this area is evolving. Now, the recommendation provides a policy framework for the development of the data space for cultural heritage, and it aims at helping cultural heritage institutions to seize the opportunities of the digital age. And it focuses on two main pillars. The first pillar is the advanced digitization and also digital preservation of cultural heritage. And this has a number of elements. It's about encouraging the member states to strengthen their digital strategies for cultural heritage at the national and regional level. It's about harnessing technologies such as 3D, artificial intelligence, extended reality, and their targets to digitize in 3D. Now, why 3D? If we look at Europeana, we've got 52 million objects there, but only 17,000 are 3D images, and that's less than 0.03% of the total. And we should have many more real 3D high-quality models, particularly of anything endangered because of natural or human hazard. Still, in this first pillar of the recommendation, there is a requirement for the member states to give a clear mandate to national or regional aggregators to bring data into Europeana. That's how we can make Europeana stronger. And last but not least, in order to tackle the challenge of the digital age, it's necessary to build capacity for the cultural heritage institutions. This means investments in human capital, in robust and performant infrastructures. And that's why in the recommendation, we're asking member states to set specific targets for upskilling and reskilling cultural heritage professionals. And this is also key to ensure that there is no digital gap in the sector. A two-speed growth, that is a risk. Very advanced cultural heritage institutions that are driven by highly skilled people compared to small museums that hardly can digitize. Okay, then the second pillar of this recommendation, it's really about the guiding principles for the data space for cultural heritage. It includes elements such as adhering to the standards and the frameworks that are there for content and metadata that makes it possible to have interoperability between the different objects and the different repositories. Another one is the importance of making the digitized objects available to Europeana. It's nice to digitize, but what we ask member states is to put everything also in Europeana. And actually funding should be conditional on having the objects in Europeana. Now, last but not least, there is also the ambition to nurture the reuse of the digitized material by making it easy to find and use. And the aim is also to stimulate innovation across sectors, where you can think of the tourism sector. Data for Europeana can be used for that, but it can also be reused in many other domains. Think about education, music and dance, modeling, prototyping, or gaming. Think about the potential of 3D models that can be interacted with in games. Now, the policy ambition in the recommendation is going to be supported with money. Under the Digital Europe program, with Europeana at its core, for this specific aspect, we have made 19 million euros available in the period 2021-2022 in the work program for this period. And it's clear that the data space for cultural heritage is going to build on the Europeana platform and on the current Europeana strategy 2020-2025. It's about fostering expanded functionalities and high quality content, more 3D models, and a wider reuse of digitized cultural resources. Now, this is going to lead to a public space where you can find trusted material, and that's really important. The digital provenance and preservation of authority and authenticity are essential to provide trustworthiness to the digital object. The public can knows where the objects are coming from and they can trust them. Okay, I come to my conclusion. The goals and targets of this recommendation are really ambitious. Well, why? Because we really don't have a choice. We have to accelerate our efforts. We have to work together to make them a reality. And by we, I mean the Commission, the member states, the community, which is really at the heart of this endeavor. So I am going to leave you with some questions, perhaps also for the conference. The first one is, how do we shape together the data space for cultural heritage? A second one, how can we use the potential of new technologies to bring cultural heritage closer to the citizens? And what could a zero-distance Europeana-powered data space look like? And my third question is, well, what does it actually take to achieve together the targets that we have spelled out in the recommendation? So there is a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm really looking forward to our further collaboration on that. Thank you very much.